Hi, welcome back to Mind Control.
I mean, the technology is great. You know, it's lots of fun, very helpful, makes a lot of things easy. But like anything in the world, there is too much of a good thing, you know? And I think one of the things we don't talk about is what is the balance of technology in our lives. And I would argue that for many of us, it's out of balance. We know that the chemical dopamine is released whenever we get a bing, buzz, flash, or beep from our phone or email, right? So dopamine is the exact same chemical that's released in alcohol, nicotine, and gambling, right? In other words, it can be addictive if left unbalanced. A little alcohol is great. Too much alcohol, not so great. Gambling is fun. Too much gambling, really bad, right? Technology is wonderful. Too much technology can be very destructive and destroy our relationships, like all addictions destroy our relationships, right? And so one of the things we're not considering is what is the right balance. If you wake up in the morning and you check your phone before you say good morning to your spouse, that's a problem, right? If you have phantom beeps, that's a problem. That comes from something, right? If you find yourself incapable of getting through a day without needing to check, that's a problem, right? Now, where it gets really dangerous is with kids, millennials. Some of them aren't kids anymore.
Right.
So almost all alcoholics on the planet discovered alcohol when they were children. When we're very, very young, the only thing we need is the approval of our parents. Right? When we go through adolescence, we now need approval from our peers. Frustrating for our parents, very important for us because it allows us to acculturate outside of our immediate families into the larger group, right? Very stressful time, and we're supposed to learn in this time of anxiety to rely on our friends, to reach out to our friends for help. That's what we're supposed to learn. Some people, quite by accident, discover alcohol, and then they learn the numbing effects of dopamine actually help them get through the stress of adolescence. This connection, unfortunately, becomes hardwired. And so for the rest of their lives, when they face any kind of financial, career, or social stress, they don't turn to a person, they turn to the bottle, right? Now, we have age restrictions on alcohol, cigarettes, and gambling, because we know that an immature mind is not yet strong enough or mature enough to deal with the powers of these addicting chemicals, these addictive chemicals, right? So we put an age limit. We have no such age limit or age restriction on social media or cell phones, right? So ostensibly what we've done is we've thrown open the liquor cabinet and we've said to our adolescents, hey, I know this whole adolescent thing is really stressful, so here's the vodka, take as much as you need. That's basically what we've done. And so what we have is an entire generation that's growing up addicted. And like all addicts, they haven't learned the skill set of when they suffer stress to turn to a person. What they do is they turn to the device. And what that only does is increase senses of isolation and loneliness and can actually destroy relationships. We've all had the experience where you're with somebody walking down the street in a meeting, out for dinner, whatever, and they pull out their phone and you feel like an idiot, right? Or when you're talking to them and they're going, and you're sort of like, what's the point of this? Now take an entire generation that has no memory of a time before the device. We at least can reference times before cell phones and internet and social media. We at least have a point of reference. They don't. So this is their normal, but that's how they feel. So you have an entire generation growing up with addiction and an increased sense of loneliness and isolation. We're already seeing the results. We're seeing increased rates of suicide amongst this generation. We're seeing increased rates of accidental deaths due to overdoses amongst this generation. We're seeing increased numbers of mass homicides, largely performed by this generation. School shootings, over 70% perpetrated by kids born after the year 1984. Schools, universities are now dealing with numbers they've never dealt with before of kids requesting leaves of absence due to depression. We're already seeing it, right? We're seeing the effects of loneliness and isolation. We're seeing it, and yet we're not reacting to it. We're not doing anything about it, right? And parents are a lot to blame for this. Because parents, there are some schools who want to restrict phones in schools, and it's the parents who demand that they keep their phones in case of emergencies. Seriously? Seriously? When was the last time the cell phone was used for an emergency? What time are you coming home? What time should we pick you up? And if there is an emergency, you call the office and they know what classroom the kid's in, and in 5 minutes, they'll bring the kid to talk to you on the phone. Like, the old way worked just fine. Remember, we talked before about innovation. It has to solve a real human problem. What human problem exactly did we solve by compressing the 5-minute time frame? We added to the problem. We didn't solve it. So that's one huge problem. So combine that with the fact, so you have an addicted generation that doesn't have the skill set to ask for help. Combined with the fact that they're so good at Facebook and Instagram, they're good at putting filters on everything. So they're good at showing you how smart and strong they are. These kids who commit suicide, you go look at their Instagrams, you would have no clue that they were depressed because they're happy and they're star athletes, right? You'd have no clue because they're really good. So when we say silly things like, my door is always open, you're assuming they have the courage to come in. Combined with the fact that they're subject largely, not all, but too many, to a failed parenting strategy. Because their parents told them they were special, they could have anything they wanted, they could be anything they want. They got medals for coming in last, which by the way we know doesn't work. It devalues the medal for the one who comes in first, and the one who came in last, it makes them feel stupid because they know they didn't deserve it, right? The kids got into honors classes not because they deserved it, but because the parents complained. And some of them got good grades not because they earned them, but because the teachers didn't want to deal with the parents. And then the kids graduate college, and they get a job, and in an instant, they find out they're not special. They don't get anything for coming in last. Their parents can't get them a promotion, and you can't have whatever you want just because you want it. And in an instant, their entire self-image is shattered. And so you have an entire generation growing up with lower self-confidence than previous generations. So you have lower self-confidence than previous generations, combined with an inability to ask for help with things that you're struggling with, and you turn to social media or a device, you keep checking, you count your likes, you count your followers, and if somebody unfriends you, oh my God, it's trauma, right? The way they break up with each other is they just ghost each other, just cut each other out and stop returning texts and returning phone calls, because they don't have the skill set to say, hey, it's not working out, it's not me, it's you, right? There's no closure on things, right? Combined with the fact there's an institutionalized impatience. So they've grown up in a world of instant gratification. You want to buy something, you go on Amazon, it shows up the next day. You want to get in touch with someone, you don't leave a message on their machine and wait 4 hours for them to get the message, you just text them and they get back to you immediately. You want to watch a movie, you just log on and watch it. You don't have to check movie times, right? Everything happens instantly. You want to get a date, swipe right. You don't even have to muster up the courage to go up like, hey, you don't have to. There you go, got a date, right? And so the problem is, they're accused of being entitled. I don't think they're entitled at all. Not at all. I think they're impatient. I keep meeting these fantastic, smart, driven, ambitious, idealistic, fantastic kids who graduated school, they got a job, they want to make an impact in the world, and I go up to them and say, how's it going? And they say, I think I'm going to quit. I'm like, why? They're like, I'm not making an impact. I'm like, you've been here 8 months. And it's as if they see the summit of a mountain. It's as if they're standing at the foot of a mountain and they can see the summit. They can see the thing they want. I want to make an impact. What they don't see is the mountain. This large, immovable object. You can go up fast, you can go up slow, I don't care. But there's still a mountain. What they don't understand is that life, that relationships, and career fulfillment are a journey. There's no app for that. I got nothing. You gotta go through the slow, plodding, annoying, meandering process called career and life.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.
I'd given up on me. I was at the lowest of the lowest. And I felt that I could not go on.
What's your plan? What's your goal? Because if you don't have a goal for being here is not a given.
Normal people would give up. Normal people would settle, but you're not normal. You want it on another level.
Always offers you a second chance. You know where it's called tomorrow for far too long. You've been holding yourself back. This is time for you. To walk with purpose, it's time for you. To walk into your gift. It's time for you to live your best life. It's wrapped in your capacity, your ability to believe in a dream even if nobody believes in you.
I felt that there was nothing left for me to give of who I really was. Because when I got to a point when I felt so weak, I felt there was nothing else left for me to give. But then something happened. Something woke me up. Something made me realize that I had work to do. 9 years ago, to this day, I buried my mother. This amazing, incredible woman told me a long time ago, son, no matter what you do, make a difference in the world. Don't try to change it, but make a difference.
When I was a kid, we used to go to funerals of old people. I can't tell you how many young people whose funerals I've gone to. I can't tell you how many. And so, and there's something about between 40 and 60. I don't know what it is about that period in time. Between 40 and 60, if you're approaching 40, I can tell you, and you already know, life begins to intensify. Things happen to you, things happen to people you care about. Between 40 and 60, if you can make it through that period, you can take a deep breath, because most people don't make 60. Most people don't. And why? And I think it's because people just take it for granted that they're going to be here.
And even during the course of making a difference, even up to the age that I am today, I find myself being drained, being tired. I find myself trying to be a good man, a good husband, a good father. And sometimes I'm tired. I don't feel I have the strength. I don't feel that I'm good enough. But I realize that that doesn't mean just because you don't think you're good enough, doesn't mean you can't be good. Doesn't mean you can't be great. Doesn't mean you can't carry on. Every battle that you fight in your life doesn't mean you're going to always win that battle. Because there are going to be many battles that you're going to have to fight. And every battle is not meant for you to win. Sometimes these battles are meant for you to learn.
So I want to share with you some goals and strategies as you think about your goals. I want you to visualize yourself having optimal health. Having your right mind. I used to ask my mama, Mama, every Sunday you stand up, I want to thank the Lord for waking me up in my right mind this morning. Why do y'all say that all the time? She said, don't worry, son. You live long enough, you'll find out. She was absolutely right. I went in the room the other day to find something. I got in there and I couldn't remember what I was looking for. I came out, I remembered what I was looking for. I went back in, I found it. Then I couldn't remember why I was looking for it. One of our children said, Daddy, you need some ginkgo biloba. I said, what's that? She said, something for your memory. I went down to the health food store. I was walking around. The lady said, may I help you, sir? I said, I forgot why I'm here. She said, you need something for your memory. I said, I know. So they took me over to a little section and I bought the stuff and then I took it home. Now,
To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. If every time you go to better yourself, somebody hits you with a line like, why would you want to do that? You need to find another social circle. I don't want to fall back on anything. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. We did not come this far to just break down and lose now.
Many of the difficulties we face, the delays, the times it's not fair, that's simply a test. God is seeing how bad do you want it. This is what weeds people out. If you're overcome by problems, you let circumstances push you down, people talk you out of it, you're not going to have the strength or the courage to sustain where God is taking you. You have to be like David. Don't have a weak mentality, have a warrior mentality. You have to be more determined than the opposition. If you give up every time things don't go your way, you didn't want it bad enough. You have to dig your heels in and say, I am in this for the long haul. I know what God has spoken to me. I will get well. I will accomplish my dream. I will meet the right person. You're not moved by what's not working out, by how long it's taking, or by who's not for you. You know who is for you, the Most High God.
To settle for some of you, that's the right thing. because you don't want to feel pushy. To settle is appropriate because you don't want to draw too much attention to yourself. Here's why. Mama used to say, don't get your hopes up. You know, Daddy used to say, don't get your hopes up because I don't want you to be disappointed. Don't get your hopes up. I don't want you to get sad. Don't get your hopes up. And Mama and Daddy said it so much that you stop pushing. I want your family to get their hopes up. I want your community to get your hopes up. But Mommy and Dad didn't want to see you disappointed. But disappointment is a part of the journey. Disappointment is a part of the struggle. Disappointment is when you fall down, you get back up. Well, Mama and Daddy, I'm coming here to contradict you. I know you meant the best. I know you meant well, but I want your kids to get their hopes up.
And we can choose to surrender, or we can choose to take a stand and fight. And there are a lot of people who fight who are still here. There are people who fight and who go. But at least they go out fighting. They didn't just surrender. They didn't just throw in the towel on themselves. And I'm saying that there is something in us. There's a power and an energy that's in us that we owe it to ourselves to take on anything. Dis-ease in the body, poverty, opposition, whatever is between that and which we desire, and we feel that will give us a full and rich life, we should fight for it. And you just got to decide that my life is worth this kind of effort, and fight with everything in you, night and day, with every breath that you have. Most people don't have that kind of fighting spirit. Most people expend more energy watching a football game or a basketball game or some type of sporting event than they will give to their dream.
I'm a winner. I'm going to win. You're born with a gift. It's not that then you get good at something along the way. What you're good at, you don't take for granted. You don't betray it. What if you do? Betray your gift? You betray yourself. For far too long, you've been holding yourself back. This is time for you. To walk with purpose, it's time for you. To walk into your gift.
When I think back on the times in my life when I settled, it was always because I didn't think I could do any better. It was because of the story that I had been telling myself about what I was capable of achieving and who I was capable of attracting. In the end, settling always costs more than waiting. And that's why you have to check your emotions when you start to feel discouraged. Because it's those moments of feeling discouraged or feeling like you're not good enough that makes you feel like settling is your only option.
Talk to your grandfather. Grab an older person. Just hear them talk. And the only thing that pains them is not failure. It's not disappointment. It's regret. And when I talk about never settling, I'm not talking about your food. I'm not talking about your hotel. I'm not talking about anything tangible.
You don't know how many times have you gotten on a scale and weighed yourself, but you wasn't happy. How many times have you pulled up those pans and it just didn't fit right? How many times have you said you could not stop eating a certain type of a food, but you kept doing it anyway? You see, my friends, that's an excuse you're looking for in a way. You're trying to find an idea and saying, hey, it's okay for me to keep making this type of a mistake. It's okay for me to keep saying thing over and over.
And I told people all the time, I said, because to me, I'm shooting for a goal. In front of me is the Mr. Universe title. So every rep that I do gets me closer to accomplishing that goal, to make this goal, this vision turn into reality. Every single set that I do, every repetition, every weight that I lift will get me a step closer to turn this goal into reality. So I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound squat. I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound bench press. I couldn't wait to do another 2,000 reps of sit-ups. I couldn't wait for the next exercise. So let me tell you something, visualizing your goal and going after it makes it fun. You got to have a purpose no matter what you do in life. You got to have a purpose.
Thank you so much for watching our video. Please also share your thoughts in the comments. We will see you soon.
If normal is getting on your nerves, then you got to change something. Being mediocre was driving me crazy. Poverty, I was sick of it.
So learn from your personal experience. Second, other people's experiences. That's me, other people. That's your teacher.
And what that junk DNA really is epigenetics. Now, it's just a fancy word for we respond to our environment, and more aptly, we respond to stress in our environment.
You can protect yourself from negativity. And that's what stops most people, negative thoughts. You can coat your mind from negativity. It's a real simple exercise to do. I do it every morning before I walk out the door. So I walk out as a positive person. You know, I get tired sometimes. That's different from being negative because I get mentally drained from my job at times. But to coat your mind from negativity, the way you can put a coating around your mind is with one simple thing, gratitude. Gratitude erases negativity. I'm gonna show you how this works. If you wake up in the morning and you start having negative thoughts, man, this ain't my day. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm tripping, I just don't feel myself. Every time you feel, in the middle of the day, if you feel yourself doing that, stop, just stop for a second.
That's your friends, colleagues, the people you meet that can pass along to you their experiences, what's happened to them, the mistakes they made, how they corrected them, how they changed their health, changed their bank account, changed their income, and changed their future. Other people. Now, there are two kinds of people to learn from. One is failures. It's too bad failures don't give seminars, right? That would be valuable. Have them tell you how they lost it all and threw it all away, threw their health away, and threw their friendships away, and things didn't work out well. That would be valuable. But now then, we must also learn from positive people that have done well. They've got the health, and so we ask them, how did you become so healthy? They've got the skills, so we ask them, how did you become this skillful? They've got the income, so we ask them, how did you get here in such a short period of time?
And start going over in your mind everything you have to be grateful for. Not everything you want, everything you already have, because what you have is substantial. You just haven't gone over the list and taken inventory in a long time. But the fact that you can walk, that's a blessing. The fact that you woke up, that's another blessing. The fact that you can see, think, reason, that's another blessing. The fact that you can go somewhere and get yourself something to eat, that's another blessing. The fact that you can go and turn the key and call someplace home, that's another blessing. The ability to dream is a blessing. The fact that you have an opportunity to get it right is another blessing. The fact that you're beautiful, that's another blessing. The fact that you have any measure of health, that's another blessing. And I'm just talking to you, I don't even know you. I could give you 50 things you ought to be grateful for right now. I don't even know you.
So now here's what's important in personal development. In learning from other people, we learn, number one, by observation. We learn what we see. We watch people that are successful in what they do. In sports, we watch their disciplines. In business, we watch their disciplines. Second, we learn by what we hear. Learn by listening. And then listen to the sermon on Sunday morning. Listen to the lecture. Listen to the teacher. Listen to someone who's got something good to say. And then number three is vitally important on personal development, and that is read all the books. All the books you can possibly read in your lifetime. Mr. Schoaf got me started on my library. I've got one of the better libraries. And then I started keeping a journal. One of the major things my teacher taught me was to keep a journal. He said, don't trust your memory. If you hear something good, just make a little note and write it down. So I would suggest you do the same.
Anybody ever seen a professional bodybuilder? No? Okay. A professional bodybuilder hardly looks human to me. It's unbelievable what they're able to do, but they show in a very real and tangible way what you can do to the human body when you understand how to put it under stress. Now, if you've ever been to the gym, you know that the real money is in tearing the muscle down, not building it up. You actually build up the muscle while you're sleeping based on what you've eaten. So the act of bodybuilding, of actually going into the gym, is an act of tearing down so that you can create the stress so that your body can respond. Now, if you remember nothing else from my talk, remember this. Humans are the ultimate adaptation machine.
When you get a thought that's not your thought, stop letting that thought just take control. It doesn't belong there. anything that's not in alignment with your dreams and your goals, let it go. And so you're going to stop in the middle of the day with your phone, and you're going to put your earphones on, and you're going to listen to whatever you listen to, and you're going to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long it takes, and you're going to get out of that funk. Okay, how many of y'all, you get into a funk sometime? Let me see your hand, be honest. How many of you get into a funk for more than like you let it just take the whole day? Just be honest. Stop. We're going to do a 5-minute funk. I'm just being real. That's it. That's our rule for the new year. 5-minute funk. That's it. And after that 5 minutes, it's over. And during the 5 minutes, we're going to stop it. So we might stop it at 2, we might stop it at 3, but by 5, it's stopped. What would your life look like if you only listen to your voice and you use your inner energy to help you to become successful? What would it look like?
Just by being human, each and every one of you is capable of great change. Who you are today does not predict who you can become. Who you can become is the answer to a very simple question. What do you want? And what price are you willing to pay to get there? What do you want? And what price are you willing to pay to get there? Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest athletes of our time, would show up on game day, and if he saw anybody else at the gym as early as him, even though he was always the first on the court, he would end up practicing longer than that person. And I had the honor of interviewing one of those people one time, and he said, I went up and asked Kobe, we have a game in an hour. Like, what are you doing out here practicing so long? And Kobe said, I needed you to know that I was willing to outwork you.
Now, let me ask you this. How many of you have listened to other people's voice? You listen to it. Let me see your hand. You literally listen to other people's voice. Hands down. How's that worked out? I'm just being real. Here's what's crazy. It don't even work and you still doing it. Like, it doesn't even work. Like, it don't even help you, but you still doing it. You know why? Because you're more concerned about how they feel about you than how you love yourself. And you got a love problem. You need to fix it. You don't love yourself, and you need to fix that. Why? Because you're concerned about what they think. They're not even you. And so we're going to fix our thinking. We're going to channel our energy, and this is going to be the best year of our life. Does that make sense? All right, today is all about you. This is all about you. All right, I'm going to watch some tape later, and I'm going to get some of this stuff for myself. So I love when CJ come up and Josh come up, because I get to learn. And we got a powerful second day for you. I love y'all so much that I think it was 2018. I heard, okay, so do me a favor. Stop being deep and take everything you learn and use it.
And in that game, they ended up winning. And that lesson stuck with that guy forever. When you're willing to put in the work, when you're willing to take control of your environment and put yourself through the stressors required for adaptation, you literally can become anything. And my life is proof of that. So I stand here as one of the founders of a company called Quest Nutrition that we took from not existing to being valued over $1 billion 5 years later. Thank you. That was the guy whose mother, not too long before that, just quietly assumed he was going to fail at college. But what I began to understand is that I could harness that ability to adapt.
Charisma is derived from a Greek word meaning an ability to elicit favor in other people. It's a magnetic quality of personality that people respond to as if it were magic.
Now, when you get good at that, you can reduce the amount of time that you stay there to next to nothing. But it starts with recognizing that there is an impermanence to pain, and it's critical to focus on that.
It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared.
How are you going to separate yourself from everybody else? You keep going, and then after that you keep going. It's not always making the last shot. He's under pressure doing what you're supposed to do. And coming out successful, Kobe and Jordan were my heroes. Every single match I didn't care who I was playing, they're in trouble before they even lace it up. They always see us doing the easy part. Hold the trophy and kiss it, and that's what everybody sees. They don't see the day where you do not feel like going to the gym at all.
Charisma is almost like a magic wand that confers power over others. But character has a very different origin. Character comes from a Greek word meaning chisel. or the mark left by a chisel. And of course, a chisel is a sharp steel tool used for making a sculpture out of a hard or difficult material like granite or marble. And a chisel is also used for stripping away waste material from an object, stripping away stuff that might get in the way in order to get down to the essential thing, the thing that really matters. You've got to chisel your character out of the raw material of yourself, just like a sculptor.
And then the last thing I remind myself is, I can always get better. I will learn from this and move on. Sometimes I worry if I self-soothe, I might overstep and become too complacent with my mistakes and don't actually learn from them, for numbing that pain or discomfort that could lead me to grow. How do you self-soothe without comforting yourself to the point of losing your drive? What a brilliant question. This is so smart. All right, this is what I call the advanced class. We are now in the advanced class. This is some nuanced shit. You've got to be able to hold two competing ideas in your head. All right, so critical life lesson number 1 was realizing this too shall pass, and that there is joy in that impermanence.
Has to create a statue. The raw material is always there. Everything that happens to you, good or bad, is an opportunity for building your character. Let me point out another important distinction between character and charisma. You may have noticed it already. In both its definition and its derivation, character doesn't refer to other people. It doesn't refer to having power over other people or getting other people to follow you or gaining favor with other people. Character is something that you have and that you are. You could be marooned on a desert island, and your character would still be important. In fact, it would likely be very important in that situation. But charisma wouldn't do you any good at all. Charisma requires the presence of others, while character is all about you.
Then critical lesson number 2 is that I'm holding two competing ideas in my head, and that is critically important. Important idea number 1. It's good to feel the pain. I need that, because that's going to give me the motivation that I need, as you so aptly point out, to actually do something about it. Okay? Part of the reason that mistakes, failure, is the most information-rich data stream you will ever encounter is because when you fail, you feel pain, and pain triggers areas of the brain around memory and focus. So now I'm really looking at this thing, and I'm committing it to memory. Now, as long as I'm not pointing all my fingers at other people, all these people, the world, society, whatever, culture, is victimizing me. Okay, if I don't do that, and instead, 2 thumbs pointed right back at this guy, then I'm reminded, oh yeah, I'm in control.
You see, when you're not pursuing your goal, you are literally committing spiritual suicide. When you have some goal out here that you're stretching for and reaching for that takes you out of your comfort zone, you'll find out some talents and abilities you have that you didn't know you had. I started speaking just to elementary school kids because I knew they didn't know what I was talking about. And they gave me all kind of standing ovation. We like you, yeah. Then I graduated up to junior high school and then to senior high school and then to various community groups and church groups and civic associations and then to colleges and to businesses. Now I'm traveling across the country and then traveling nationally and internationally.
I do not nobody can talk me into it even. Yourself, you're telling yourself, no, I'm too tired. I'm achy, there's no way I can make it. You gotta go, you know you have to stick to what you said you were gonna do. You're gonna get knocked down over and over, and even when you feel like. No, I can't be hit this hard, or if you're down to thinking it's no way I can get up from this. That's when you're just starting, keep going, and then after that you keep going.
Be addicted to bettering yourself. When you think about some of the great athletes and in so many sports, and I think the perfect examples, I think for me, it's because I love basketball. You think about a lot of these kids, they go from high school to the pros. And obviously that's not the case now. You have to go 1 year, but just think about the kids that go from high school to the pros. You think about your Kevin Garnett, you think about your Kobe Bryant, your LeBron James, Michael Jordan. He's one of the greatest. He didn't go from high school to the pros. but he's considered, obviously the greatest of all time. But when you think about what Michael Jordan did as setting the blueprint, especially for a guy like Kobe, who was at that point when he was alive, he was a living carbon copy of one of the greatest basketball players of all time.
It's about what we do. It's about how we handle the situation. It's not about what happens to us, because things are going to happen. How are you going to separate yourself from everybody else? And I always thought anytime it got really incredibly hard, I would think about all the people quitting right now and how they're going to feel in a few years, that they're just going to say, man, what if I hadn't have given up? What if I would have kept going? Don't say what if, please, 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 please. Don't have the what ifs down the road.
But I never would have discovered what I'm able to do right now if I wasn't willing to take a chance. You've got to be willing to do that. You've got to believe in yourself. A lot of people love me to tell this story. When I got out of school, my first major goal was to buy my mother a home, and my hero in broadcasting was Paul Harvey, and I wanted to become involved in broadcasting, and I loved the disc jockeys that were on the air, and I wanted to become a disc jockey. See, so I started working to develop my communication skills and expand my vocabulary. I started visualizing myself being a disc jockey. I saw myself on the air having a talk show and playing records and people listening to me. That was my vision. That was my dream. I held that in mind constantly, and I would practice all the time. Practice makes what? Absolutely not. Just dislodge that from your mind. Practice only makes improvement. Perfection doesn't exist. They need to take it out of the dictionary. It doesn't exist. Practice only makes improvement. You can always better your best. You have not done your best work yet.
You think about what LeBron has done. He lived up to the expectations, lived up to the potential in which a lot of scouts and owners and GMs pegged him as. And so that's why you look at Steph Curry. That's why you see these guys, they enhance upon their abilities and their potential. When you look at scouts and how they grade or evaluate talent, sometimes these scouts are way off base. If you go back and look at some of the scouting reports of a guy like Steph Curry, who's small frame, another guy, Kevin Durant, they said these guys were not going to make it in the league. It was going to be tough. But these are some of the guys that are, they're lighting it up every night, making it to beyond the expectations of, the playoffs, getting to the finals. Look at what Kevin Durant has done, even after the Achilles injury. Not to mention, one of the greatest, basketball players, in LeBron James. Look at what Michael Jordan did.
You keep going now, and I'm telling you, you'll be in a better place than you would be if you quit. If you want to be great, man, prepare to get up off that mat, the aspirations, the dreams of what it takes, the commitment to hard work, but more importantly, how many lumps you've got to take. That's when your survival skills have to kick in, and hopefully you've trained enough in your mental preparation and really believe enough in yourself to get up, because you know everybody.
So it's a constant evolution, man. I've never arrived.
So what I do every day is I prime myself for what I want rather than letting the environment control me. We've all had times when you snapped at somebody and you felt bad because it wasn't them, it was the state you're in.
Number one, that you deserve your goal. Number two, that whatever you've done thus far is only a mere fraction of what's possible for you.
How do I get it? Believe me when I say that you have a gift. You have a passion about that gift and the right plan. You can leverage that gift to fulfill a dream. Believe me when I say this. It's true. It's no less true than the law of gravity, or that 2 + 2 is 4. Believe in this truth and you will have the attitude you need to succeed.
Right now, I'm stressing out 2-3 hours a day. I'm trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm like, oh man, I went through Navy SEAL training being fucked up. I ran over 7,000 miles in 2007 being fucked up. I did pull-up records being fucked up. Now, that the mind is so fucking strong, that the body catches the mind. So now where I'm at. So I'm always trying to reinvent the wheel and see what I'm capable of next.
Right? Well, there's no excuse for that. If you prime yourself, you set yourself up. But the way I did it is I do this process. It's 10 minutes, I put some music on, I do this massive change in my breathing so it radically changes the way I feel. And then I do this 3-step process. First, I do 3 minutes of gratitude where I think of 3 things I'm really grateful for, and I don't think of it up there, I feel it. And the reason is, when you're grateful, you can't be worried. You can't be fearful. When you're grateful, you can't be angry. And anger and fear are what screw people up most in their relationships, in their life, in their business. So I wire myself. I was saying to you that most people want to be happy, but their habit is to be worried or pissed off or frustrated or stressed. And so they've got a highway to stress and they got a dirt road to happiness. So I wire myself. I've got a highway to gratitude, which changes all your emotions. And then I do a 3-minute process of kind of a prayer for my family and friends. And then I do a 3-minute process of the top 3 things I want to accomplish. I see it as done. And I feel it. I'm done in 10 minutes. So sometimes I go 20. But my deal is 10, so there's no excuse not to do it.
Can you imagine getting to the end of your life, looking back only to discover that you only used 10% of what was given you? Jim Rohn said something I like very much. He said, when the end comes for you, let it find you conquering a new mountain, not sliding down an old. So I'm urging you to continue to be a mountain conqueror. But I don't know what your goals are. My goal is to be the best son that I can be to my mother. My goal is to be the best father that I can be to my children. My goal is to be the best servant that I can be to mankind. I'm asking that God use me so that I can begin to help thousands of kids across this country, like Mr. Washington helped me. I asked him, I said, what can I do to pay you back? He said, pass it on. So whatever your goals are, this is what I'm known by that's on my tapes. It says simply this, that if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish, or gulf, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it.
To change people's lives by sending me through a process that was so hard for me to overcome. When somebody like you stands up and asks me a question, I know the answer without even thinking, because I've been processed. I've been homeless, so I know exactly what you're feeling. You feel me? Listen, man, like I told all my kids have a college education. I told them all, I don't care what you get a degree in. Until you follow your dream and connect it to your gift, you'll never be happy. You'll never be happy, man. I just gotta tell you, you got to chase that dream before you die, man. You should go and live your dream. Just go see. God puts your real life in your imagination. That's where your real life ain't in your present circumstance.
A person with one or more talents who uses them to succeed. They identify their talents and work with and improve them to achieve their goals. Physical or performing arts. Talents likely aren't transferable to the practice of law or business. Being athletic or having a broad vocal range aren't going to. Help when trying a case or starting a business.
Perhaps it's shrinking the time frame down. The sooner we must do something, the more desperate it becomes. In other words, if something has to be done within 10 years, how desperate is that? But if it has to become sooner and sooner and sooner, or even if there just has to be a real date put on it, gives us some desperation knowing that date is coming sometime soon. So what is your plan and strategy to increase your desperation, increase your hunger level, and then focus? What's your plan to increase focus? Oftentimes that could be a plan to eliminate distractions. What's your strategy to eliminate distractions? Might be, I watch too much television at night and it distracts me from my goal. Perhaps you should remove that television from the room. That's a plan and a strategy to eliminate the distraction. Perhaps it's you're being on the internet too long or playing video games. Maybe you need to eliminate them. Perhaps in your nutrition, you're trying to get fit. The distraction are snacks that you have in your home or alcohol. Maybe they need to be removed from your home. What is your strategy and plan to eliminate distractions and increase focus?
Your real life is not in your current situation. Your real life is not in your paycheck. Your real life, he tucks it away in your imagination. Albert Einstein said, imagination is everything. It's a preview to life's coming attractions. Everything you imagine is a preview to a coming attraction. Once you understand that and quit looking at your imagination as hocus pocus, it opens up a wide range of things and possibilities. And God puts your real life in your imagination. Listen to me. This is serious what I'm telling you. Don't you think it's nothing else. Imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. That simply means everything that's in your imagination is a preview of a coming attraction that God has for you. That's why he puts it in your imagination. That's why when you tell your imagination to the wrong people, it don't go nowhere.
Because without the evaluation, without the intention, and without the plan and strategy, an actual plan to increase desperation, an actual plan and strategy, get creative, get resourceful. It's only with a plan that you can begin to make changes and a strategy. Otherwise, it's just a thought. And then fourth, what immediate massive action are you going to take right now? I'm talking about right when this audio or video ends. What's the immediate first massive action you're going to take towards that plan? The first step, it's unplug the TV, it's remove the video game, it's throw out the junk food, it's remove a certain person from your life. Now, I don't know what it is, but what is the immediate massive action? Because if we can evaluate where we are and get very clear, because we can't know where we're going if we're not very clear about where we are. In other words, if life is like a GPS and we want to get to a particular destination, the only way we can get clear on getting there is to understand and evaluate and be specific about where we currently are.
Focus on those talents that would help you achieve your goals. Were they natural communicators, leaders, managers, visionaries? What talents? Did they have that would help you? More importantly, which of these talents are ones you have? Once you identify the talents, study how they use them, apply them, and develop them. When did the talents come in handy?